Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, Senior Pastor of New Life Christian Center, located at 400 Hillcrest Avenue in Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. If you're ever in our area, we invite you to come and worship with us. Every Sunday morning service begins at 10 a.m. And if you're not in our area, wherever you are across the U.S. and wherever you are around the globe, you can tune in for the Sunday sermon on our YouTube channel at New Life Christian Center Pastor Pope, where we go live at 10:45 a.m. every Sunday morning. And as always, we are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. We're broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships, whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind. God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, where our broadcast is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you will save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And right now, if you order a case of water from FijiWater.com, you will receive a second case for 50% off using the code GAMEDAY. Now, I realize today is getting very close to the Super Bowl. However, today's the last day for it. I thought it was going to be yesterday. Today's the last day for this promo. If it doesn't arrive before the Super Bowl, just know this: you still will get your case. It is purchase one case, get 50% off on the second case when you use the code GAMEDAY at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, we thank you for your support. And for those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites or on our YouTube channels or Facebook, the link that is provided. We thank all of you for your continued support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. Now, I know that I neglected to say that you can continue making your weekly or monthly commitment by going to the contributions pages on our websites at newlifeministriesinternational.com and newlifeinternationalcdc.com. And of course, you can use the link or QR code to fulfill your weekly and monthly commitment of support. We thank all of you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here, right here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So I'm going to remind everyone we're Facebook Live, we're YouTube Live at Daily Divine Direction, and we want you to stay connected with us through our internet radio station, WKAP Faith Empowerment Radio, where you can reach us at WKAPfaith.com. where we play music 24 hours a day, music that will encourage you, and it will empower you, and it will inspire you to become the best version of ourselves that we could possibly become. But we're going to be doing some additional offerings as we move forward. I cannot believe that we are actually about to, next month, we will be celebrating our 1-year anniversary of our internet radio station. So we've got a lot of work to do to continue moving things forward. And we're going to be doing some additional offerings, so you want to stay tuned in. You don't want to miss this. You don't want to miss anything we're doing. Yesterday, of course, As always, our monthly contributor, Rebecca Boover, licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist, BeccaTheDietitian.com, shared a lot of information with us that will help us to strengthen our heart. So it's Heart Month, so we don't want to miss taking advantage of all of the tips that she gave us. And if you missed anything, go to her website at BeccaTheDietitian.com and take a look around. She always shares so much good information that is going to help us to be healthy in our body, mind, and spirit. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your daughter turned 18 and wants to travel out of the country with friends for spring break. However, you said you do not think it is a good idea, and yet she will not talk to you since you said no. So I have to tell you, and I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing with you, because, teenage girls. So for all of you who are women, you remember what it was like being a teenage girl. But let me say this to you. First of all, I'm going to start by saying you're right. It's not a good idea. And the reason is because I can tell you of 3 incidents right off the top of my head where that went wrong. Now, you might say, well, of all the thousands of people and millions of teenagers who've traveled during spring break, everybody, first of all, doesn't travel out of the country. And second of all, you might say, well, if you can only think of 3 incidents, then that's not a lot of incidents when you consider how many people are traveling. But the truth of the matter is, everyone's not 18, everyone's not traveling with friends out of the country. And when I say that, I can think of 3 incidents in the last 15 years. 18 years. Okay. The last 18 years that have occurred where someone who was young, who left the country, still, graduating from high school or spring break, left the country and never came back. And I'm not trying to scare anyone. We don't live in fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. But some things we have to be logical about. We have to be prudent about. And we have to be aware. So those spring break travel out of the country, if it's one thing, if it's here in the country, and that can be dangerous, but however, you're more likely to be safe. When you go out of the country, bad things can happen to young people. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. There's human trafficking. That's first and foremost one of the most dangerous aspects of youth travel, young people traveling without adults. So, and even with chaperones. But, you're talking about spring break. This isn't even a class trip. This is a spring break out of the country, 18 years of age. Nothing good can happen. It's not going to be a good decision. So you're right there, first of all. Now, I can tell you, my wife and I had to go out of the country on a trip, and a month later, a young woman who was traveling came up missing. And I say all of that to say, she wasn't with us, she wasn't traveling with us, but a month later, not anyone we knew personally, but a month later, a young lady came up missing. And that caught my attention right then. They later found that she had been murdered. She was traveling a month later with friends. Someone took her life. A night of drinking, and someone took her life. That's not a good decision. So you're correct. Now, I had to smile when I was reading your communication and you said she won't talk to you since you said no. And the reason is because I had to chuckle and say, well, at least now you have some quiet. time. But the reality is that it's not a good decision. And you even said in your communication that, she said she treats you treat her differently than you treat her brother. Well, been there, done that one myself. And the reason is because there's a difference between boys and girls. Just the bottom line. You have two sons, you have one daughter, you treat the sons differently than you do the daughter, and the sons are older now, and yes, you do. And that's just reality. They don't have to like it. It's just reality. Boys and girls are different. And having said that, it's not that you want to ruin her fun. It's just, it's not a good idea. Then you see adults going places out of the country and someone taking their life. You see, grown, mature, career adults leaving the country and bad things happening to them. And I said, when I was reading your communication, preparing the production today, and I'm saying to myself, I could think of 3 incidents right off the top of my head. Now, as I'm sitting here doing the broadcast, the Holy Spirit has shown me 2 other incidents that occurred. And I'm not reading the news, but it just came to me. There were a couple of other incidents that in those last 18 years that people have literally lost their life. A couple of others that I can think of right off the top of my head. We read about them in the news. This is real. It's not a good idea. So you told her it's not a good idea. She's not happy. Okay. Here's the thing. If she doesn't talk to you now because you said no, let her start cooking her own meals. Let her start doing her own laundry. Let her start, if you're not going to have a conversation, I jokingly said you've got some peace and quiet, but if you're not going to have a conversation with me, I'm going to make sure there is food in the house, but you're going to have to make it yourself. I'm going to make sure there is laundry detergent, but you're going to have to do your own laundry. You're going to have to do all of those things that you've been doing for her, let her do for herself. You don't have to be your child's friend. You can have a relationship with your children when they become adults. You can have an adult relationship with them and have adult conversations with them. But when they're children, you don't have to be their best friend. You don't have to be their best friend. Look, I'm just going to keep it real. I don't drink, but if I was a drinker, I'm not going out drinking with my son and his buddies. I'm not going to do that. And the reason is because he's my son. I'm not one of my boys. I don't drink. I wouldn't do that if I were. You can't come to my house and we're going to drink together if I were a drinker. I'm not a drinker. I'm not a smoker, but I'm not going to sit down and smoke cigars with you because even though I once liked a good cigar, but I don't smoke anymore. I don't smoke cigars anymore. So I'm not going to sit down and smoke cigars. That's my son, not my friend. But I say all of that to say we can go to dinner together, which we do. We can play golf together, but because he's my son. This is your daughter. You don't have to be her girlfriend. She wants you to look at her as her equal or her peer. You're not. Her classmates are her peers. She's not your equal. She doesn't have a career. You have a career. She's not a decision maker. So she doesn't like it that you said no, she can't. Once spring break is over, she'll forget all about it. She'll move on to something else. There will be something else, but it won't be that. But however, to teach her a lesson, because this is all about instruction and a teachable moment, you don't want to talk. The next time she comes in the kitchen and says, "Mom, what's for dinner?" I don't know what you're making. There's food in the refrigerator. There's food in the pantry. There is food to eat. But I don't know what you're making. Mom, how come, where's my my class sweatshirt, it's in the laundry. Well, how come it wasn't washed? Because I can't have a conversation with you. I can't talk to you about what needs to be washed, and I'm not going to do laundry at your convenience. We've got to start, listen, and the reason I'm going through all of this is we got to stop trying to be friends with our children. We're the parental guidance. We are parents. You know, it's wonderful when your children get to a place where they're adults, where they can call you and have adult conversations with you and ask your opinion or recommendation about something that they have to address as an adult. Because you've been there before. But as a child, they don't know any better. They don't have those issues. They're still dependent on you to make certain that they eat every day, that they don't walk the street naked, and they don't get rained on. That's the primary purpose. Now, the secondary purpose is to make certain that they get a good education, that they go to college, that they have the opportunity to begin their career, and then you send them on their way in life, to be there for them as a support system and to enjoy life together, build a life and a future together. But right now, she is, even at 18, just because she thinks she's an adult doesn't mean she is. She's still in school. You said she turned 18 in January. She is going to graduate from high school at age 18. And consequently, she's still a minor and you're responsible. You are responsible for her. And that means that your decision that she not go out of the country is the right decision. Because next she's going to ask you to pay for it. And if you pay for it and something goes wrong, you're never going to forgive yourself because you knew it wasn't the right decision. When I say you'll never forgive yourself, hopefully, someday you would, but we don't even need to address that issue because simply tell her no. You need to stand firm on your no. And she'll eventually move on to something else after spring break is over. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. At T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you feel that you do not manage your time well. And you want to know, how do you begin being more effective with your time? So listen, this is a very good question because you're not the only one. Most people, let me rephrase that, just so that I can be certain of the answer. Many people, I won't say most, it's probably most, but I'll say many people don't manage time well. One of the things I tell people often and always, if you show me someone that wastes their time, I'll show you someone that wastes their money. There's a direct correlation between your time and money, and being effective and being efficient with your time. So you're not managing it well. You want to be more effective with your time. I'm going to encourage you to be more effective and efficient with your time. So the first thing you want to do is get an agenda book. This is going to be real important. Get an agenda book and write in your agenda book every single day. At the end of the day, review what you've accomplished for the day and what's on the calendar for tomorrow. Second thing is, you've got to put it on the calendar. If it doesn't, put everything on the calendar. If it is not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. If you do not write it down, it will not happen. So you've got to get it in the agenda book and you've got to have a calendar. So I'm going to let you in my world. And I'm not telling you anything I don't do myself. I literally have an agenda book that I write in every single day. In addition to that, we have 2 calendars in our home. One is in the butler pantry downstairs. The other is on the coffee table in the retreat in our master bedroom. Or there's another name for it now, but in any event, my wife always corrects me about saying master bedroom. It's something else now, but I'm a baby boomer, so it was always a master bedroom. So we keep the calendars updated by going into the butler pantry, writing on the calendar. At the end of the day, you can write on the calendar on the coffee table in the retreat. But you've got to make sure you have a calendar so that you can be more effective. But you've got to write everything down. You've got to write it down so that you can ensure that it happens. So that's going to be part of the philosophy for being effective and efficient in managing your time. And then you've got to think about it this way. And I tell people this, and sometimes people will say, well, how do you do that? How do you do everything in 2-hour increments? So think about this. Our goal is to get at least 8 hours sleep a night. That should be all of our goal, because that will help with our health and wellness. So that's 8 hours. We all get the same 24 hours in every day. So that leaves 16 hours. Everything should be blocked out in 2-hour increments. So think about this. And I've often talked about how you run your life like a corporation. There's 5 major segments to business. And they are administrative, development, management, marketing, and operations. You're allocating 2 hours a day for each of those segments. So now that's a 10-hour business day, but you've got 16 hours of the day remaining after getting 8 hours of sleep. Now, you may have some other items, charitable work, for example, you might be doing for 2 hours a day. That's another 2 hours. Everything needs to be blocked out in 2-hour increments. And the reason that I do that is because everything can be done in 2 hours daily unless there's a variable. And the variable might be that you may run over into a third hour. Or you may complete everything that you're working on from an administrative aspect. I'll use that. From an administrative aspect in an hour and 30 minutes. So you may complete it in 90 minutes. If you complete it in 90 minutes, you have 30 additional minutes to either review what you've already done or focus on what's next. And start working on what's next. But that doesn't mean you change the 2 hours. If you have an additional 30 hours, it just means you're going to be able to get more done, and you still start your 2 hours in the next 2-hour segment. So I'll give you a really exact example of that. So let's say from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon, you spend on administrative work. And let's say that you get it all completed in 90 minutes. So it's now 11:30. So you now have 30 minutes to either review what you've done to make sure that it's done correctly and it's going to be the most effective work, or you can add that additional 30 minutes onto your next 2-hour segment, meaning you start at 11:30 and you still work it until 2 p.m. And whatever time you have, because there's going to be variables. Some things may spill over into the next segment. Some things may overlap. But it's all about managing your time effectively and efficiently. It's about allocating time sufficiently to get everything done over the course of the day. So those 16 hours that you have aside from the 8 hours, you've got to focus on the business segments of that. For 10 hours, you may have, there's got to be meditation. I encourage everyone to meditate for 30 minutes. You're going to have prayer time during that time. There's going to be other things that will be done during those 6 hours, and some of it may be that you just simply had to add to some additional time to do some, I mentioned, for example, charitable work. You may have something to work on from volunteerism that you're doing. It's all about managing your time in 2-hour segments. And the reason is because 2 is divisible. You've got 24 hours. So you know that whether you get 8 hours of sleep or whether you're fortunate enough to get 10 hours of sleep because you're really tired, you still have the same 24 hours in the day to use. And if we do that every single day and stay in that routine, you're going to find that you'll become more effective and you will become more efficient. Just by doing simple things that are going to allow you to get in a rhythm and be more effective and be more efficient. Because it's the little things, the small little details that will disrupt our success and disrupt our daily lives. So we want to make sure that we make things happen, and that we make things happen that are going to allow us to build the best quality of life, both personally and professionally. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. If you are in the market for a Porsche, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, go to PorscheAmerica.com. You will have the opportunity to virtually build out the type of Porsche you desire to own. And if you're in our area, go to PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Didio, General Manager of PorscheDelaware.com. He will make certain someone assists you in selecting the Porsche you desire to own. And if you currently own a Porsche, which is one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, you have to get it serviced. So you will want to call PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Adams, who is the service manager at PorscheDelaware.com. He will make certain someone schedules an appointment for you. They will pick up your vehicle at your home or office, drop off a loaner vehicle to you, and return your vehicle to you when service has been completed. And this segment is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at the retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need. And the White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at the retail store. They have everything you could possibly need. Home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. Both stores, Charles Tyrwhitt, can be reached at ctshirts.com and The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They will both ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you've really been thinking about the past. You feel somewhat haunted by things that happened in the past. And so I'm going to encourage you to do this. Take your mind off the past. Forget about the past. And if you can't forget about the past, use the past. Listen, take your mind off the past. But if you can use it to inspire you to move forward, to become better, to become a better version of yourself, then use that as fuel for your inspiration. If the things from the past are troubling you, you've got to put them behind you. You've got to forget about all of the negative things that have occurred in the past and know that your future is much brighter. You've got to believe and look forward to what is to come and not what's behind you. There's nothing that you can do about the past. All you can do is overcome the past. All you can do is keep moving forward and get to the place where you can say the past doesn't matter, only my present and my present is my present and my future is what truly matters. You've got to know we live for the moment. We live in the moment, but we're living for the future. Believing God that if He gives you another day to move forward, to level up, to go to the next level, all you can do is praise Him because you have overcome the past. And so I want to say to you, use your life experiences to inspire you to move forward and become the best version of yourself that you can possibly become. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast, 3D, has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. It is the last day for you to order one case of Fiji Water and receive the second one at 50% off using the code GAMEDAY at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Have a great day today. Remember, tune in if you're not